Broadcasting from the Red Bed Plains, you are now listening to Through the Prairie Smoke.
All right, dude. Let's get into it.
Yep.
What are you smoking?
Oh, I don't know if I've smoked this one before on our show.
I don't think you have. Do I smell vanilla?
Well, I've smoked it in front of you before.
Oh.
Diesel Vintage.
Mm.
The Sun Grown. Because they have a Maduro and a Sun Grown. And I really like this one. And you can't beat the price.
Yeah.
I think it comes in like right under $8. But it smokes like a $25 stick. And you can quote me on that.
I'm going to use my Falcon pipe tonight.
With the holiday blend, huh?
With the holiday blend. Out here in the garage, it's like 60 degrees outside and dropping. It's going to be so cold.
Yeah. It's actually probably in the 50s right now outside.
You're probably right.
Yeah. But it is nice in the garage, though. This little heater thing you got back here is...
Mm-hmm.
It's fancy.
Yep.
It doesn't affect the electronics you have on top of it?
I think the heat comes out of the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, it looks like a little wood-burning stove. But it's got like an LED screen, but I think the actual heater sits underneath it.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's just an 8-track.
The screen's really cool.
Yeah. It's just an 8-track player on top of it, you know.
Well, you know, it's vintage.
It is. It's not hooked up right now. Yeah, this holiday blend smells just like rum.
Look at that. You got Santa Claus on your Coke, too.
Yeah, it's the holiday season. Here, mid-November as we're recording this.
Are you one of those people that immediately throws up the Christmas tree and turns on the Christmas music? And
the problem is working retail. You know, I get ready for the holiday season, but then I forget it's the holiday season because it's just work. You know?
Yeah.
And so, like, as soon as Halloween's over, I start playing. Every now and then I'll listen to some Christmas music to, you know, remind me. Yeah, it's the season, you know, think about stuff other than work.
We still have all of our Halloween decorations up.
Mm-hmm.
And we've decided that our 8-foot skeleton Carlton
Mm-hmm.
is going to permanently be up throughout the year. And we're just going to dress him up in different outfits.
How many different holidays are you going to celebrate with him?
That's a good question. Like Amber already said that she wanted to do Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So she was going to try to find him a pilgrim's hat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that fell through, though. And
That's too bad.
we're closing in on Thanksgiving right now.
Yeah.
So
it's you know, a week and 2 days.
yeah. So I mean, there's still time, but
yeah,
I don't know where you would find a pilgrim's hat that big.
Gotta
So,
make one, dude.
It may be Christmas on the next one.
Yeah. The neighbors here across the street, they used to have skeletons all over their yard for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
But then, before Thanksgiving, they'd all get a Santa hat or something.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
it was all still the Halloween decorations, but they're wearing Santa hats. And then neighbors moved, but right next door to me, the last 2 years, they had like Victorian wedding cemetery in their front yard.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we have all kinds of skeletons around our house.
Mm-hmm.
We got, well, you know Carl
Mm-hmm.
and his wife Carla.
Mm-hmm.
They permanently sit on our Victorian love seat in the living room. And then, of course, I just introduced Carlton. He's our 8-foot skeleton that sits on the porch now.
Yep.
And then also on the porch in the rocking chair is Carlos. The whole skeleton family is living at the house with us. But my problem with it, Tyler, is none of them mofos pay any rent.
Yeah.
Living rent free.
They need to get a damn job.
That's what I say. Work them to the bone. Well, how's it smoking?
It's all right, but it's real wet, so I'm having trouble keeping it lit.
Oh, I see. I can smell it, though. It smells pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've listened to all of our episodes, I think I say the same thing every time. Man, that smells really good.
Yeah. The pipe blend is interesting, but the Falcon pipe, I feel like I need to talk about the Falcon pipe because it's this 2-part system where it's got this aluminum stem, and then you can change the bowl out. It's a screw top. And there's this aluminum chamber. It's all the whole thing. The sales point is it's a cooler smoke.
Yeah.
Maybe so. It's got a huge bowl on it, and you can swap these out, and you can hot swap them. So,
Hot swap.
you don't have to wait for your pipe to cool before you start cleaning. You just pull.
It reminds me of the H.R.
Giger, I think.
Giger?
H.R. Giger.
Anyways, it looks like his art style. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You see, because it's chrome, and then it twists, and then it has the, like, little indentions.
Little backbone.
Yeah, like the mechanical
Yeah.
look. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
There's a lot less penis imagery in this, though, than his artwork.
Well,
It is a
I'm
shaft,
sure if you
I
look
guess.
hard enough, it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything's a penis.
It's a shaft with a ball at the end. So, I mean, you're biting down on it. And there goes half of our listeners.
What are we talking about tonight?
Oh, my. Have you ever seen any weird lights?
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Not the lights that we're going to be talking about. I have not had the opportunity. But, yeah.
I see lights all the time.
Yeah.
I see a light right now in front of me.
When my eyes are closed and I push on them, I can see lights that way, too.
What is it we're talking about?
Ghost lights? Spook lights?
Fairy lights?
Fairy lights.
There's other names. Corpse candles.
Corpse candles.
I thought that was a funny one.
Yep.
The will-o'-the-wisp.
Will-o'-the-wisp, yeah.
So there's several different lights when we talk about ghost lights.
And in particular, one of these ghost lights that we're going to be talking about has some local interest. One that's in Oklahoma anyway. We share it with Missouri, I think.
Isn't it like mostly on Oklahoma side?
It is. It originated apparently near Joplin, but now it's migrated more into Oklahoma.
Yeah. And actually, before it was Joplin, it was Hornet, Missouri. Yeah. So it's also referred to as the Hornet spook light. But
Yeah. So these lights in the sky, some people may call them UFOs. These types of lights that we're talking about are more wispy. They're not quite. You probably would not mistake them for something you could touch. Although I will tell you a story about somebody who claims to have touched one of these.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But, UFOs, Foo Fighters.
The band?
Not Dad Rock. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Could be bugs, could be mist, could be ghosts, swamp gas, ancestral spirits. These are the anomalous lights in the sky. But you probably heard a lot about Congress's UAP studies and stuff like that. I guess technically these would be UAP as well, but less of them as a physical thing and more of a light. And they have geographical locations. They kind of stick to areas. Sometimes they migrate, like Oklahoma's. But then other times, like there are the Marfa lights down in Texas. They hang out there, have been for several decades. Of course, that's all tied into a lot of other mythology and UFOs and stuff like that as well. But that's kind of what we're talking about. In a more modern sense, I was driving home from work, and there's kind of a nature preserve over here against the highway, and working retail, coming home after dark, and I'm zipping along this bridge next to this nature preserve, and this green light just shoots up, and I was like, oh, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to slam on my brakes, what am I looking for?
Yeah?
It was a drone. It was somebody's, but it was a big one.
Oh, that's...
But it was just
you had me going too. I was all like, you didn't tell me this before we started recording.
Yeah. So,
what are you doing?
and of course, as I get closer, like I was like, that is moving so fast. And then I realized, no, it's just real close. Oh, it's a drone.
Dang it.
So, yeah, no new reports of anything paranormal around here at the moment. But I don't know who was flying the drone. Let's not dismiss the idea that there could be a non-paranormal explanation for people seeing lights.
I don't know, man. Could be an alien controlling that drone.
Could be. Just that's what I'm saying. Don't know who was controlling it.
I don't know, man. But you had me going. I was like, wait a minute. So that's cool.
So,
yeah,
I've never been out there. I've never been to look for this spook light out in
what's the Oklahoma town?
Quapaw.
Yeah, Quapaw.
And the explanation in physical reality that we live in is, well, Route 66 is put through there. And on this farm road, that's also known as the Spook Road, you are catching headlights from Route 66. But these lights kind of show up and they just kind of zip along the horizon. They zip in valleys. Sometimes they're rare and sometimes you can see them all the time.
Yeah.
Is it atmospheric? Could be.
Could be. Yeah, there's some explanations thrown out there. I read today, this kind of debunks the highway theory because there is a local legend that it was first seen along the Trail of Tears. Mm-hmm. And that was in 1836.
That would be well before Route 66.
Right. And then there was also 1881 publication of Ozark Spook Light. There's a report of the first recorded account. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, that's 1881. So,
in Ireland, they've been seeing fairy lights for longer than they've had highways.
There's an interesting story, since we're on the subject of that, and it's kind of straying away a little bit from what we're talking about in Joplin, so we'll jump back.
We'll jump
but
back.
We're going to, ride the boat over to Ireland real quick. There's folklore that talks of a man named Jack that, for some reason, was denied entrance into heaven and hell. And
he was just so bad.
He was left to roam Earth for eternity, and he was given a single ember.
A small piece of hellfire.
Yeah, and he took a gourd.
Or is it a turnip?
Oh, maybe it is a turnip.
I think it's
a turnip. I'm sorry, a turnip. They say is kind of what leads to the jack-o'-lanterns of Halloween.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the I can't say that that's where it originated from, but that is one story from Ireland that kind of plays into that. Mm-hmm. Because I guess they used to, which I don't know why you guys are still listening to me because I was calling them gourds, but turnips used to be, they used to carve turnips.
Really?
And then it went to pumpkins at one point.
Gourds. Yeah. In Ireland, they have these things called fairy forts. They were built, and then they have just worn down over time. And sometimes if you have two of them in close proximity, you can watch the lights go back and forth between them. This is the stories, that you hear. And sometimes you'll walk past one and you'll hear a whole bunch of noise or music or something, and there's nothing there. As far as I know, the Joplin light has nothing to do with fairies.
It does have the theories or stories.
One of the
legends.
folklore stories.
Yeah. I read in several places saying that it was a farmer that was looking for his missing kids. Oh. And the light is the lantern that's swinging side to side.
Okay.
But then in other stories, it's a miner that is looking for his missing child that was kidnapped. And it's the same theory, the lantern swinging side to side.
What was he mining, do you think? What do you mine for over there in the Ozarks?
See, that's what I'm from the plains. I mean, we're flat land around here, okay? Right. I don't know what they do.
You can get some really cool selenite crystals.
There is a story about a grandma and her two grandsons that are walking along the path looking at the lights, and the light comes towards them. But I don't think it's Joplin, now that I'm telling this story, I'm thinking it's related to something else on a different ghost light. You know what that one is?
What?
That is the story that comes from Tennessee.
Okay.
The headless signalman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You talking about this fellow was denied entrance to heaven or hell. You know, it's like, oh, that's a fun story. But these signalmen and these miners who are out looking for something, it's like, that's what's fun to me.
No, I agree with you. Because that one's more, that story from Ireland is more of a, I don't know what you'd say.
That just goes to the differences in our culture.
And a lot of those lights are what I would consider fairy lights because they've been known to be like, usually it's in a more humid, more marshy area. And there's several of these wispy lights. And like we said with the ghost light, there's... from fairies to scientific reasoning, whatever.
You bring up the marsh. So, it's wet. There's decaying matter in it, but it's sludgy. So that decaying matter, as it's giving off methane or whatever else, as it's breaking down, it's being trapped. But sometimes it can spew out. And if there's some static electricity nearby or something like that, if it could discharge, maybe
it's the oxygen just at a cold. I think I read one place where it said that gas hits a cold air. It said hits that oxygen, and just for a split second, there's a flare.
It's interesting.
And then the shifting of plates, of the Earth's plates, would cause friction.
Yeah.
And then that would be either in the soil or in a rock. And then that could let off sparks every once in a while. Yeah.
That's real funny to me because in all of these stories we hear, it's like, that was a ghost. And it's like, no, it's not a ghost. It's the light from the street light reflecting just right off of whatever else. But then it's like, you're talking about these marsh lights and fairy lights and stuff. And it's like, the tectonic plates in the earth just happened to rub at that time.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's sometimes easier to believe, though, it was just a ghost.
Yeah. It's easier to just say it.
Right.
Yeah, that was a ghost. That was Philip.
Yeah.
Hey, Philip. Yeah. Speaking of the lights reflecting off of this and that, and that's what's causing this, do you remember in the town next to us, Okarche, and Sarah's Grave is what they called it, and people would talk about how it glows at night?
Yeah.
I never personally went out there. I wanted to, but I never did.
But
the big thing that, like, the adults, when you bring it up around when we were younger, and you brought it up around the adults, they were like, that's just the back porch light coming off of Philip's house over there.
Right, yeah.
And it shines just right.
Yeah.
And
like, that's the one gravestone that's at that angle to catch that light.
Yeah,
just
and I'm
right.
like, yeah. It's Sarah. Calm down.
Yeah, it's fine. She's just hanging out. We used to do fireworks out in Loyal, Oklahoma at my great-grandmother's house. And, you set off fireworks at night, so it's real dark. So we'd be heading back into Kingfisher around, I don't know, 11:30, 12 o'clock. And there were a couple of little cemeteries nearby. And my brother and I would just stare out the windows as we passed those. If we're going to see something, it's going to be there. It's going to be there.
Yeah.
And I remember, it was years ago, but there was a light. We saw a light in the cemetery, and we pointed it out to my grandfather who was driving. He's like, there's not a light out there. I was like, look. And he looks, and he slows down, and he is looking at it, and he's like, what is that? He's like, I'm going to go look. I'm like, please don't go look. Oh, my God, stay in the car. But he got out.
Don't you dare leave us.
He got out and looked, and it was like one of the first solar lights ever.
Yeah.
And that was just the coolest thing because I don't. My dad had the flower bed wired with lights, but it was a switch you flipped. It was hardwired, So solar lights were real popular in the cemeteries. But I will clarify that Sarah's Grave, the stories about that, there was no artificial light around at that time.
Oh yeah, it's well before that. So, did you ever go to that? Oh yeah, you said you were too scared.
Way too scared.
Yeah.
Plus, I wasn't sure what cemetery it was.
Because
there's one right off the highway, and that's the one I had just assumed it was, but I think it's another one.
Yeah, I think it's further back. I think it's in the country a little further. That one's off Northwest Expressway.
Yeah, right off of Expressway.
Well, I didn't mean to take us on it.
No, this
on
is
a
this
long path. But,
this is related.
but it's a glowing gravestone.
Yeah.
And if that's not a ghost light, I don't know what
Yeah,
is.
for real. It might be some dude out just smoking on his pipe real good.
Probably.
Or a cigar. Yeah.
It's like it's just a quiet place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people leave me alone. This is where I go.
Mm-hmm.
Now he got all these people staring at him from bushes, saying, "Oh, it's Sarah's grave."
Are you sure that the person who occupies the grave is actually Sarah, or is that just the story?
I always heard that it's. I mean, when it was talked about, it was always called Sarah's grave, so I just assumed it was occupied by Sarah.
There's
It's probably Edna or something like that.
Right.
And it didn't sound as spooky, so they were.
Yeah. And, there's probably one in Dover and Hennessy and Enid.
The ghost light or the ghost lights, kind of like with the Joplin. I thought it was interesting in some accounts. They say it's like this orange globe that changes shape. It can go from anywhere from like a baseball size all the way up to basketball size sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that it floats, it sways back and forth, and then sometimes it'll go up and above the trees, and then it swoops back down, and then it can disappear. I thought that was interesting.
I think some people describe the movement as bug-like, like it's an insect flying around.
So, I imagine that's where they're coming up with the wisp. Mm-hmm. Ghost lights, there's all kinds, from glowing tombstones to the Joplin light to the fairy lights to the signalman.
Yep. Well, let's talk about it.
The Tennessee signalman, the headless signalman.
Yeah.
So the story on that is that it's storming one night. There was high waters and something disrupted the ground beneath the tracks. Mm-hmm. And so this signalman, his job was to run out on the tracks and signal the oncoming train of the weak spot.
Yeah.
And that would give the train caution to slow down.
Yeah,
it was just supposed to caution the train.
Yeah, you need to slow down.
So this poor guy is out there waving the lantern back and forth, trying to signal the oncoming train. The rain is too heavy, and the train conductor cannot see the signalman on the tracks. The signalman stays on the tracks. He's really trying to get the train to slow down.
Yeah,
and ends up waiting until the last second to move. But when he does, he slips on the wet tracks, and unfortunately the train does run over him.
That's why he's headless.
And then I know. Graphic. Yeah, unfortunately his head is severed by the train. And when the conductor realizes what's happened and gets the train stopped, he runs back and finds the body but no head. And so it's when a legend is basically born, or a folklore story is born, because now it's been known to see this light that sways back and forth at that point in the tracks. Yeah. And it's been said that is the signalman.
Looking for his head?
They didn't say it. They didn't really specify it, but I mean, that's a good theory, I guess.
I want to say there is an Ozark legend of a horseman. I think he has his head. But there is a light sometimes that you see out in the Ozarks, not necessarily this one near Joplin, but it's supposed to be this fella on a horse with the lamp.
With the lamp?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. I like those stories.
Yeah.
So the signalman, that story is where I got confused earlier. When I was talking about the grandmother and her two grandsons walking the tracks.
Yeah.
They're aware of it. They're out to see it.
Okay, they're out looking for it.
And one of the boys is kind of ahead of them, and then the light appears, and it's coming slowly at first, swaying back and forth, and then all of a sudden it comes at him fast. And the account is that the light went through him. And when the light went through him, he felt the flashback. So anyways, that's why it became such an interesting witness story.
Yeah, that's cool.
Account. So back to the spook light.
Yeah.
You want to hear some funny stuff about the spook light?
I do. This is a great story.
Or more of the humor side of it, I would say. Mm-hmm. So, being that it's such a big deal, everybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
So this man, his nickname is Spooky Meadows.
Yeah.
I think it's Arthur Spooky Meadows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he starts this it's a little bitty building. It's a museum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for the spook light. And it's said to be located like where it appears, or where it was appearing at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Spookville Community Building and Museum. And he started this tourist attraction. And Larry Woods, he's an author. He's a local from that area, and he wrote a book, The Ozark Spooklight.
Okay.
And from his book, it describes this Spooky Meadows guy.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just kind of skim through it. So Spooky Meadows is 71. He's a kindly outback philosopher with a clean but unpressed shirt. It says he rolls his own from half and half pipe tobacco, and often fails to end his sentences. Kind of sounds like me.
Mm-hmm. He's in good company around here.
Apparently, he has a song about the spook light, and he is very willingly...
He wants to perform for you.
Yeah, but this last part is what cracks me up. So this is from the book. Old Spooky can't be pressed into giving many opinions on the light. When pinned down, he says, "What is it? That's easy. It's a light." Yeah. But we don't know what causes it.
Yeah.
Then he adds, as though settling the matter, "It's more or less a hoodoo." So I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And a little bit about him is he started it and he promoted it until 1970-ish. And then that's when he sold it to his son-in-law. Mm-hmm. And his son-in-law is named Garland Middleton. Uh-huh. And he just happened to inherit the nickname as well.
Okay.
So now it's Garland Spooky Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
And Garland ran the place until 1980. And then that's actually when he passed away. But this is the sad part, after he passed away, the building was not upkept, and it ends up falling in disrepair, and then it eventually burned down. So,
a lot of paranormal locations tend to burn down.
True. Yeah.
Fox Sister's house burned down twice.
Yeah. It's weird, huh? Mm-hmm. Another little funny tidbit on the spook light of the Ozarks. This one's funny, and it's local to us, so I thought this would be good to note.
All right.
Because I giggled quite a bit out loud at work and had weird looks at me. But
whatever, they don't know.
I ran across a newspaper clipping. And this clipping was written in the Okeen Eagle from Okeen, Oklahoma, which is roughly an hour from us or something like that from Kingfisher. So this article was actually a response to a article written in The Headlight. And The Headlight was a newspaper in Augusta, Oklahoma.
Okay.
So this is what the clipping says. The Augusta Headlight tells of spook light on the claim of a young lady near that town. Someone wants that claim at a low price. A few charges of buckshot in the vicinity of that light would cure that desire. That was written May 10th of 1901.
That's so funny.
I thought that was hilarious. And I just randomly come across that clipping. It was pretty funny.
That's funny.
There's some little humorous tidbits. Jumping back to the signalman, there's a song about that ghost light. It was written by John Rickman, and it's called Chapel Hill Ghost Light. And it was actually recorded in 1977 by I guess I had never heard of this band, but
Us Two and Him.
It's not talking about the signalman. It's tells the story of a man named Skip Agent, and supposedly he was killed by the train in 1942. According to John Rickman, there was also a man killed by the train because he was mesmerized by the ghost light.
Yeah.
And it was the train light.
There's being mesmerized by lights. Obey all traffic laws. I'll preface this with that. But there are some people who refuse to use their hazards if they pull over to the side of the road.
Oh, yeah.
And when I ask them why, it's like, because people drive toward what they're looking at, and I don't want to draw their attention.
Yeah.
And, you know, that makes me think, like, it's not quite that they're drawn to it. It's more like they're mesmerized by it, you know.
And a lot of accidents happen just because people
Everybody's
are kind
looking.
of rubbernecking, you know,
Yeah.
like, hey, what's going on, you know? But I will tell you this. I was coming home one night, and a highway patrolman had somebody pulled over. And let me tell you, those LED lights they have now will blind you.
They're so bright.
Like, they are so bright. And I don't know, like, it was so hard just driving by.
Yep.
But did you know that's also why when they have someone pulled over, they park halfway out into the road? It's to protect them because they're out of the car.
They don't want to get...
And then also, because it's happened so many times.
Yeah, lame.
Yep.
Should we briefly talk about UFOs and talk about cultural UFO stuff? So this is one of those things, like I brought up, congressional hearings on UAPs and USOs. UAPs, unknown aerial phenomenon. USOs, unknown submerged object. And that's what has been getting a lot of attention lately.
Yeah. UFO
has been a term in use for a long time. And a lot of times, especially in American pop culture, you think UFO and it's, oh, that's an alien spaceship. Yeah, an alien spaceship. But that's not necessarily what these things mean. So, like, just take it literally, like unknown. We don't know. But what's interesting about these spook lights and stuff that we're talking about, these things tend to be nearer the ground. They're not way up in the sky or anything like that. I have a book that chronicles a lot about the Marfa lights, and there are stories in there where people are like going out to see them. And this elderly couple, I think in their RV, is interviewed later after being out there, and he was like, we heard they were uncommon, but we were seeing them all night long. And that's just so wild to me. He's like, no, you go out there and you just see them. They're everywhere. Yeah. So I don't know what he's looking at. Maybe the Marfa lights. The story I was going to tell about someone touching them. In that book, there's this story about pastor, and he's got a big family. There are two vehicles traveling the same route, friends and family, and they see three lights, I think, going across the road. And they like stop and get out, and the pastor runs up because he can see it. It's right there, and all of them kind of go down and like dissolve into the road. But he is they just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but he picks up one and he holds it in his hand, and eventually he's got it on the end of his finger and it just disappears. And that is fascinating to me. There were like 14 people that
all saw the same thing.
Supposedly saw that.
Oh, man. Wonder what happened to that guy.
Yeah.
You think he changed?
Maybe. His moment of illumination.
Hear me out.
Let's hear it.
You think he's a doppelganger now?
Oh.
An alien doppelganger?
Or a giant chicken.
Oh, gosh, the studying we have to do.
We do. We have to look.
Yeah, we're going to have to look that up. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
What would you do? What would you do in that situation, Tyler? If I pulled the car over and we were looking at these lights and I walked over and picked one up and then it just disappears, what would be your reaction? What would you do? Would you touch one? Would you go out there and touch one?
Kind of like talking about Sarah's grave and stuff, and like, no, I'm too scared to do that. At this point in my life, I'm not going to say this on the podcast. I'm going to edit that. If I ever go missing, it's because I'm on a UFO somewhere.
Why would you cut that out? I think that's funny.
If I get the opportunity, I'm probably going to take it because I'm curious.
I would want to go just to check out their interior design.
Yeah.
If it's like the movies.
Yeah.
You think it's all plain and clean? Or you think they got like a Victorian charm in there? Think they've been collecting stuff over the years and they're just like, I'm going to use that in my little space room over here.
You know, you talking about what they're collecting. In the late 1800s, everybody was seeing airships everywhere. And it was like 3 dudes on this airship, and it was having mechanical troubles. And so these people would just come across them in the field or come across them on a road. Be like, can we get some water? Here's a $10 bill. Go get us some oil or something. So we're having mechanical problems in our air balloon here, and everybody's just like, this is amazing. You want to come in and look around? And so people are encountering them on the ground, but then when they're in the air, they're dropping things like anchors. Like people are finding wild stuff. Giant wheels, just stuff falling off of these airships. And so there's this crazy story that like that is a distraction from what was really going on. When you were seeing that airship with those 3 dudes, something really crazy was going on behind you.
Oh, yeah.
But you were too distracted by how cool the airship was.
I can see that. Because I'd definitely be looking at the spaceship throwing anchors.
Yeah.
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 Mainly because I don't want to get hit, but also because it's cool.
Yeah.
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 Do you think any of the aliens are antique collectors?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, they got to throw stuff down from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just stuff that they're starting a new collection, so they're like, well, I got to get rid of this. So they'll just toss this anchor out the UFO and just it's like, here, you can have this back. I'm talking about antique dealing aliens.
We're talking about antique dealing aliens.
Yeah.
What were we talking about just before that?
The Marfalites. I did ask you what you would do in that situation. If you would grab the light or not.
So, have you seen the movie Fire in the Sky?
Yes.
Travis
it's been a
Walton.
long time, but yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
I've met this guy, by the way.
Yeah.
I have his book. I've got it signed. But anyway,
Nice.
He was ill when I saw him, but I was glad to see him anyway.
You still made him sign a book.
Poor
guy's
not.
dying, and you're like, here, sign my book.
No, I hope to see him again. But because I have more questions to ask him now that I've read his book. But in his story, it's like they see this UFO, and the truck full of these loggers pulls up next to it, and Travis just jumps out and runs over to it. And everybody's like, what the hell is he doing? But like 2 weeks earlier, he jumped out of the car to go fight a mountain lion. Like, just crazy stuff. He's just some young guy goofing off, impressing his friends, you know. But it's interesting listening to his story, which you totally should check out. He does a lot of interviews and stuff like that. It's a fascinating story. Missing time and all of that other stuff. Where I went and saw him speak, he is asked, why was he selected? And he's like, I don't think I was selected. I think I made a dumb decision. And I went out there and stood next to it, and I got too close. There was an accidental discharge. And I think they felt bad for me, because I probably would have died, but they nursed me back to health and then brought me back days later. My point on the story, you know, what would we do? I think we should totally go look.
Yeah.
Like, if we get the opportunity to see a ghost light, we should go check it out.
Go try to grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and this is more like the spiritual philosophy stuff that I read, but like, if you are experiencing something like that, it's not an accident. It's for you.
Yeah.
You're supposed to interact with it.
I don't know if I would. And the reason I say that is because of H.P. Lovecraft's story. Yeah, it looks pretty.
Yeah.
But is it pretty?
Indescribable.
Yeah. I don't know why that popped in my head, but when I started, I was like having those scenes from the movie with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm also thinking of the Creep Show. This is different because it's like a meteor or something that goes in his backyard. But eventually, you know, Stephen King is all covered in moss or greenery or whatever in that.
yeah.
That's kind of based on a Lovecraft story.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Probably The Color Out of Space, in fact.
Yeah. Probably so.
Well, Lovecraft was scared of everything. So I don't know if we should be taking life advice of a dude who was literally afraid of his own shadow. So if you see the ghost light, pick it up. All day long, you'll have good luck.
Yeah. Yes. Listen to Tyler, folks.
Also, when you see the ghost light and it isn't just an instant, it's there for a long time and it's floating around, that's not a spontaneous swamp gas illumination. That's not a flare. Yeah. That's something different.
It's probably a guy just trying to tell you there's something on the tracks.
Yeah, watch out for the train.
Yeah, watch out for the tracks.
It's Johnny Cash. It's Johnny Cash out there. He hears the train a-coming.
Ooh, do you think that's where he came up with the song Ring of Fire?
Oh, maybe
he was talking about a ghost light?
He was talking about the ghost light.
Yep. It's actually the train headlight. He's just seeing the round halo of it. And it's the Ring of Fire.
Yeah. Do you know that song?
It's... Okay.
You don't like Johnny Cash.
We're gonna lose some listeners here.
Nobody knows who Johnny Cash is.
Listen, Johnny Cash was not a singer. He was at the most poetry. Like he was like he read poetry is what he did. The guy never sang. Like I don't understand why people think he sang songs. This guy, he played a guitar and said poetry or read poetry. This guy was not singing. That's just my opinion.
Hot
It's
take.
not that I hate him. Don't hate him.
Yeah.
Just not my flavor. I do like the Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
That's probably... But the only reason I like Ring of Fire is because it reminds me of ghost lights. No, that just happened tonight. But no, the reason I like the Ring of Fire is because of Silent Hill. So, you know.
Which Silent Hill?
The movie.
Yeah.
Silent Hill. When she's walking... You know, with the ashes coming down, and she's walking, and it just starts playing in the background. The Ring of Fire. Been a while since you've seen it, huh?
I just rewatched it.
You didn't notice the Ring of Fire was playing?
Literally last week, I just rewatched Silent Hill.
It's a good movie.
You know, I talk about demonic reality a lot. This book by Patrick Harper, and watching Silent Hill, I was like, This is demonic storytelling.
Yeah.
Because it's like there is the other place. There are these signs and symbols you can see all the time. You can feel. You can kind of interact with that place, but it also does what it wants.
Yeah.
You can't control it. Okay.
Check it out, folks.
Yeah, Silent Hill.
Song.
What is it, 2004?
Good song. It's a good movie.
Also on Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire, I think toilet humor is real funny. I get my dad goofy joke stuff all the time, but he's got a guest book for his men's restroom at his shop, and there's a place where you can journal. You know, it's like here's your date of when you visited. You know, give us a drawing or whatever. It's like circle the song that best meets your time here, and one of them is Ring of Fire.
Must have had the taco truck that day.
Sorry, let's talk about ghost lights some more.
Yeah, some more ghost lights. I came across in these very detailed studies that we do for you beautiful people.
Yep.
A ghost light is also referenced in theater.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
It is usually a single bulb. And there's speculation.
Yeah, theater people tend to be superstitious.
Very superstitious. And this single light that is supposed to stay lit
all the time.
All the time. If it goes out, it is bad luck. It's been known to ward off spirits, so that's
Sure.
why they keep the light on.
Mm-hmm.
Opposite, it's been known to keep the light on so that the spirits of theater can perform on stage.
What a lovely thought.
Yep. Outside of the supernatural is a really basic reason, which I don't believe. It's utilized as a safety light.
Oh.
Put in place for the stagehands to navigate safely
To see where
behind
they're going.
stage.
Yeah. That seems like
That-
the least likely reason why that exists.
Right? Like, they were really stretching to come up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so the ghost can perform, guys.
Yeah.
Why else would you call it a ghost light?
For real.
No one's going to call a safety light a ghost light.
No, you call it a safety light.
And if it was a safety light, wouldn't it be red?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Do you think, while we're on the nonsense train, do you think that Navi was a ghost light? A fairy light?
Definitely a fairy light, yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
Hey.
Listen. We're nerds.
Speak for yourself. I've never played that game.
Greatest game on earth.
Wind Waker is the best Zelda game.
Ugh. Was that GameCube?
It was GameCube.
Yeah, I never played that one.
It was
It
actually
was too cartoony for me.
it was the first Zelda game I ever played.
Really?
Because of how cartoony it was, I loved the art style.
You were so the opposite of me because mine was like the Ocarina of Time was great for 64, but my favorite, well, up until now, which is Breath of the Wild, because that's just amazing. But the Twilight Princess,
Yeah.
that was my favorite
Yeah.
because it was just more, I don't know, it wasn't so cartoony.
Yeah.
So,
That video game convinced me to pierce my ears
heck yeah.
because of how cool Link looked riding that wolf
Yeah.
with those pierced ears.
Yeah. Makes me want to go out and do it too.
Yeah. You got the lobes for it.
Well, I have a freckle on this one lobe, and people have asked me, "Is your ear pierced?" And I'm like, "No," and because I forget that it's there, and then
It's
I'm
all
like,
natural.
"Oh shoot!" So I run to the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and then I zone out, like I've said before, and then when I'm past that part, you know, I look at my earlobe, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have a freckle. I forgot."
It's fascinating. Like every time you go to the bathroom, it's at least 15 minutes. Do you experience missing time when you're doing that?
I think if we would just leave our phones in the living room, we might be out of the bathroom faster.
Oh, I thought it was maybe that you were just staring at yourself in the mirror.
Well,
If you're missing out on what we're talking about, check out our
yeah,
doppelganger
episode 8.
Episode 8.
Double Trouble. This is a great episode.
Yeah. What other reasons why might you see ghost lights in the sky? There's the aurora borealis,
Oh, yeah.
and I am not sure how many indigenous cultures have this view. It's hard to tell when you're reading stuff on the internet. Is this, a story that's been passed down? Is this modern folklore? Is this old folklore? Is this tradition? Whatever it is. There was something going on with the magnetic storms, and you could see the aurora borealis down here in, like, further south. You could,
A few weeks ago, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But this story for some of these indigenous cultures that were this far south, if you saw those lights, those were massive movements of ancestors moving to other places, and you weren't supposed to look at it. You got to give them privacy.
Oh.
So,
Well, now I don't feel so bad that I'm, like, one of the only Oklahomans that missed out on it.
I didn't see him either.
Oh, did you?
No.
Well, we're not supposed to look, Tyler.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was a conscious choice for me. I want to respect people. I brought up Foo Fighters earlier, and you gave me a hard time about the band. But are you familiar with Foo Fighters?
I actually was not. No,
Really?
I was like, to be honest with you, I heard Foo Fighters, and the first thing I thought was the band, obviously, because I've never heard anything outside of that. But then I was also in the back of my head going, did he say food fighters? Because that was like one of my favorite toys when I was growing up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have some for sale if our listeners are interested?
Funny story, have the whole collection with the variants. So I don't just have the chocolate donut guy, I have the pink frosted one as well. There's the stack of pancakes that has maple syrup on it, but then there's one that has like the purplish straw, like I'm guessing. Anyways,
If
it has
it's
a
purplish,
purple
it
syrup.
must be blueberry.
Yeah, and I have that one. And of course, like all the classics, like the French fry guy and the hamburger and the cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hamburger guy is, I think, the only one I really have a strong mental image of.
Mine was the cookie, the chocolate chip cookie. Yeah. And funny enough, like I remember going to Walmart when it was at where Atwoods is now in Kingfisher. And the toys section was all the way in the back.
Yep.
And I just remember every time we would go to Walmart, I was like straight to the back, and I went straight to they didn't have it with like your standard, like your Batmans and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. Those were like the main guys that were on the aisle. But at the end of the aisle where they would hang like just a little section, that's where all the food fighters would be.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to collect them all.
Yeah.
And then I got them and opened them and played with them, and then they disappeared in many of garage sales probably throughout life. And then one day I came across, I think it was at a garage sale, I came across the cookie.
Yeah.
And I was like, it hit me straight in the face with nostalgia. And I bought that thing. I threw that quarter down faster than I just don't know, man.
Yeah.
I threw it down fast. But anyways, I bought the cookie, and then it opened the fires. Like I'm making no sense right now because I'm just really excited. But yeah, I ended up going on eBay looking for them, and I ended up buying all of them and maxing out a credit card.
Awesome.
Not really. It's not real money.
It's not real money.
And I still have them. I have the vehicles too. Did you know they have vehicles?
Oh my god! I think we've talked about the vehicles.
Yeah, they have
but
like
I've
an
never seen
egg
the
carton
vehicles.
looking thing.
Oh my
and they have like the fly or the spatula chopper or something. It's something like that. I'd have to look at them again. I want to put them out and like display them.
Yeah.
But we have no room in our house right now for that.
Not with all the skeletons.
Well, yeah. Carl and Carla have kind of a big family, and we're only finding out that they have distant relatives that love to come visit and end up living rent-free at our house. So
It's crazy.
yeah.
So, no, not Food Fighters and not the band Foo Fighters, but the objects in the sky called Foo Fighters, which is what our military was seeing during World War II. These lights would buzz the planes. They'd hang out at the wings. They'd fly in formation. They'd trail them. They'd drop off. And we don't know what those are. But they're too small to be having a human fly them. We didn't have any drones at that time. And, we were convinced it was, the Axis powers. Well, the Axis powers was seeing them as well. They assumed it was the Allied powers. So, yeah, these little lights that were very curious about what the planes were doing, they would come out, and even though there may be some relation to spook lights and stuff like that, these were way up high. These were with our planes, our plane, America's.
I didn't know signalmen could get that high.
Yeah, yeah. They're flinging their lamp. They get bored.
They're like, I'm bored with trains. Let's mess with the planes. No.
I like that theory.
So they're called Foo Fighters, huh?
Yep.
And that was a government name?
That's what they called them.
Yeah. Do you Man, now that makes me wonder where the band got their name.
That's where the band got their name.
Is it really?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I learned something new today.
If the internet wasn't broken, I'm going to do a search for Foo Fighters, but it's just going to show me their CDs. It's not, it's
I was going to say, yeah, you're probably
a way
just
to
going to see
spend money.
old Dave popping up on your screen.
Foo Fighters name origin. It was used by Allied aircraft pilots during World War II to describe the unidentified flying objects they had spotted in the sky.
The more you know.
Yeah. I'm going to cut a whole bunch of that because I don't give a damn.
Don't give a damn.
Every time you and I set our phones down, there's
Yeah.
a boom on the microphones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But it is what it is.
We've been caught checking our notes.
When I edited the last episode, I could hear my mouse dragging along sometimes as I was doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like not using the mouse this time.
Yeah, but those are natural sounds.
Yeah, it is.
It's just down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Someone
has to control the computer. Our producer's just gone
bailed
now.
on us.
She's
Yeah.
bailed.
We have no artistic direction now that she's gone.
Yeah. Went and did grown-up things and got an awesome job. And, congratulations, Susan.
Yeah, whatever, Susan.
Yeah. Jerk.
How are you feeling about this episode? I feel pretty good.
Are you not?
I just wish I had more info to share. And with this being a audio medium, we don't have any of our own pictures, but there are lots of brochures out there about finding this stuff. There are people who are way into this. There are groups that go out there and set up high-tech equipment to see all this stuff. They're doing pressure analysis on the atmosphere. They're doing infrared. They're doing temperature, constantly monitoring wind direction, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of times these things supposedly move in the direction opposite the wind. So they are flowing against the wind. You can spend hundreds of dollars to go out there, and then there's no guarantee you're going to see it on the night you set up.
Yeah.
Or, more likely, you're going to see it while you're setting up, and then once you get your stuff up, it disappears, which plays into the trickster nature of these types of phenomenon.
Old Spooky Meadows also said that the best time to see the light was when it wasn't raining, but it was heavy overcast. And it was normally between 10 o'clock and midnight, is what he said.
I told you that story earlier about that fella who went out and touched the light, grabbed it. That was in 2003.
Oh, okay. That wasn't too long ago.
Pretty, within the last 20 years.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to me.
20 years ago?
Yes, it's crazy that it was like I just said, like my natural response to you was, oh, that wasn't too long ago. And then I started doing the math and I'm like, wait a minute, that was 20 years ago.
We graduated in 01, dude.
Yeah. Well, we're philosophers now, so.
We are, yeah.
Podcast pros. Tell your friends.
The reference that I've used for Marfa lights, there's a lot of technical stuff in this as well. But this is Hunting Marfa Lights by James Bunnell, a little self-published book I picked up. www.marfalightsresearch.com.
Nice.
I've never been down there. One of these days I'm going to get down there.
Yeah.
One of these days I'm going to go look for Oklahoma spook light. That's going to be before the Marfa lights. I need to shop Supernatural local,
Yeah. Yeah. Support your small paranormal
businesses.
Yes.
Yeah. Support your local paranormal endeavors. We talk about orbs and photographs and how you and I can easily dismiss them as dust. And that's why some of these ones that we've seen are so exciting, because it's like, it looks like the same one in different places.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's pretty weird.
It is weird. Those pictures are on Instagram, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Check out our Instagram.
It's episode 5. Dennis's episode.
Yeah. Check out our Instagram for episode 5, and you can see these.
Yeah.
These orbs in there.
Yeah.
A way that I think about these spirit lights is like these are orbs that are manifesting outside of photography. These are ones you are seeing in reality. But that's not quite right because some of them have tails. It's just really fascinating. But, just caused by those tectonic plates down there. We don't know that.
Yeah. On the Instagram thing. So I got it pulled up right now.
Oh, thank you.
It's actually the one when you go on there. It's next to my sandwich Bigfoot, but it's with the building. Dennis's building on the front. An old picture of the building. Yeah. Check us out on the old Insta.
What else do we want to mention?
I was trying to come up in my mind of my theory and stuff. Obviously, there's just so many theories, and whether it be scientific, paranormal, or just personal experiences or opinions.
Sure.
But I'm just gonna go back to old Spooky Meadows.
Yeah.
I like his response.
It's just a light.
What is it? It's a light.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what it is. It's a light.
Don't know why it's there, but it's a light.
Just buy one of my shirts and go sit out there and watch it.
Yeah, it's nice to be in nature anyway.
Yeah.
Take a cigar with you.
I think he had all the answers.
You're probably right.
It's too bad he's gone.
Yeah.
Too bad the museum's not there, man. That would be awesome. We'd just go freaking pack up our mics and
hang out in the museum.
Mm-hmm. It did say somewhere I read on that when it was talking about that museum, and it said it was a really small bit. It was describing the building. It said it was really small, and it had like 2 overhead doors. Like it was like a shop type situation.
Sure. Yeah.
And I read there wasn't much in the museum, and it was a local hangout for the teenagers that would go in there and play pinball, eat Polish sausage. I thought that was so random. Was drink pop and eat Polish sausages and lounge all day.
Yeah.
If I'm reading that or remembering that right, but that was kind of funny.
That sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just eat Polish sausage while you're waiting for 10 o'clock, and then 10 o'clock, old Spooky leads you out and check out the lights. And
there are these stories of these UFO hunters, and it's more of the spiritual aspect of it, and they go sit out on the desert on this cliffside or something, and they're getting a meditative state, and they're like, tonight we're going to see UFOs, and then sure enough, here come the UFOs, and they're in the distance, you're never... Yeah. It's never real clear what you're looking at, but here are all these lights in the sky that show up.
Oh, man.
So...
I want to do that.
Let's do it.
Let's do
it. You have to pay...
Tyler, I ain't paying for it.
Oh,
We're going to figure it out. Just like in the last episode with your astral projection. Yeah. And we're gonna find a book. It's going to tell us how to do it.
Okay, yeah.
And then we're going to start talking to aliens.
I think that's a great idea.
I love antiques, and I really hope there's antique collecting aliens out there.
Yeah, I think this is a good aspect we need to look into. Well, and just like anthropologists, like this is one of the arguments for why extraterrestrials may be visiting us. And to clarify, I don't necessarily think extraterrestrials are visiting us. There was a big report that came out recently about how, out of these hundreds of cases, there are only 26 we can't really explain. And all these people are like, it's aliens, man. And it's like, no, we don't have any evidence of aliens. And people lose their minds because it's like, we got crop circles, we got all this other stuff. But it's like, well, we can make all that stuff here, too. There's no reason to think they came from somewhere else. It may not be us. But there's no reason to think it came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe we are sharing this space with something that we just... Yeah. It's just really good at staying hidden.
Yeah.
And there is a book on that called The Crypto-Humans. And it is a speculative work about if one of our common ancestors split off and went and did their own little culture somewhere. I think the thing is like in tunnels underneath the national parks or something. I mean, something crazy. Yeah. But it's like they're kind of human, but it's to their benefit if they're like we're underground, so you all need to be looking at the sky. We're building all this stuff to distract you, to be looking into outer space.
Oh,
so
back
you're
to your
ignoring what's
back
under
to your
your feet.
theory there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever watch the movie Nope?
No.
You need to see Nope.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil it for you, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it.
Which one is Nope?
It's not a spoiler. It's an alien movie.
It's Alien? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes it more appealing to me. I'll have to check that out.
I can't believe I haven't talked to you about it more.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out.
So crypto humans, maybe they're living underground and they're distracting us by making us look into outer space. They've been here the whole time. They're as old or older than we are. Societies are existing at the same time, and they're just real good at keeping themselves hidden.
Yep.
And they're like, no, we're not down here. Keep looking at the sky. That's where the weird stuff is, up there. Look at the stars. And that's a fascinating thing to think about.
Well, we hung out like a week ago or something, and you were showing me some videos.
Oh, yeah.
That I had never seen.
If you're talking about government UAP stuff, you're talking about the Tic Tac videos.
Yeah.
The gimbal videos you're talking about the stuff from the USS Nimitz.
So ever since you showed me those photos or those films, even some of my coworkers have come up to me, and because they know about the podcast and stuff, and they're like, "Did you see that video of those people on that cruise ship?" And they were filming out in the ocean, and there was something that had come up out of the ocean, was hovering above the ocean, and then went back down in it, and then shot back up and went into the sky. And I was sitting here thinking, man, that sounds kind of like those videos we were watching.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like, I started questioning my coworker, like where he saw it. Obviously, he saw it on TikTok.
Freaking TikTok.
Yeah, freaking TikTok. But
Kids,
anyways,
put your phones down.
But it seems to be kind of like what you're saying, these underground.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, how much of the ocean has not been explored?
It's hard for us to get down there.
Right. Interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's
if you were going to hide somewhere, the oceans are 70% of water, bodies of water, 70% of our planet's surface.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out on 30% of the planet, and we're pretty familiar with a lot of that.
Yeah.
There is still wilderness in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's those talks about how we put these giant telescopes up in the sky. That's the wrong word. We put these giant telescopes up in space, and
in the ether.
Yeah,
we
in
put
the
them up there.
Mm-hmm. With the what did Lovecraft call those critters that fly through the ether that makes up outer space? It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah. So these telescopes are hanging out up there, and they are seeing further and further into space, and we are learning more about space than we know about the bottoms of the oceans.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
You know how we've been friends since 4th grade, I think is what we come up with in our math.
Decided, yeah.
Or decided. Yeah, we decided this. One of my, you laugh because I had never talked about the doppelganger fear.
Yeah.
But I also have kind of a fear of the ocean too. Not for swimming, like I can swim and stuff.
Sure.
But it's just the unknown underneath there kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like
anything could be down there.
Yeah, like it's
literally anything.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but kind of.
Yeah. It's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it wasn't for H.P. Lovecraft, we wouldn't know there was a temple down there.
That's right. Yeah, I'm real big into the ancient societies that could have been around during the last ice age, and therefore their buildings may be under the water because the ice melted and the water level's higher now. It's just like, what is the ocean hiding?
Tell us your secrets.
Yep.
Dude, you think there's ghost lights out in the ocean?
Well, I'm sure there are. But that's the thing. Like, we're not really hanging out.
Yeah.
It's prohibitively expensive to do such things.
If you're out in the middle of the ocean on a raft by yourself, you think there's ghost lights on top of the water?
Could be. This TikTok cruise ship thing, how long ago was that?
I don't know. I need to find out more about that. But, man, like, I'm going to maybe make some people angry, too. Sorry.
Why would we do that?
Man, I get really... I lose interest very quickly when someone says...
TikTok. Yeah, me too.
And I guess I'm just an old fuddy-duddy.
I had a conversation with a coworker this morning, and she is on TikTok often, but she is watching the news side of TikTok, and it's people who claim to be on the ground where this news is happening, you know. And, you know, anybody can be a witness now and put that out there, and like your perceptions, you know, just what perceptions are, their assumptions and things like that. And so in my mind, I don't know, like witness testimony is always suspect. Like it's not very trustworthy because our memories are fallible.
Yeah, I'd be a horrible witness.
Yeah. So still, like if somebody tells me something, I want to believe them, and I will do my best to believe them. But like, I probably want to talk to other people to make sure, hey, they get that right. You know, was that your experience or whatever? And I don't know, maybe that makes me a jerk, but you know, I could just yammer nonsense on TikTok. You know? What would stop me from yammering nonsense?
But anyways, we're not here to be on a soapbox about TikTok, I guess.
So, cruise ship, TikTok. There are a couple of documentaries on Netflix right now. Parts of series that are really great with modern UFO stuff. Not so much ghost light stuff. I get with everybody distracted with UAPs and USOs, you know.
Yep.
Ghost lights are kind of just the folksy rural stuff. Which is what I like, so...
Yeah. I like good old ghost stories.
What are you smoking over there now?
I ended my beautiful diesel vintage and decided to jump to another one. This one I just purchased not too long ago. It's Arturo Fuente Casa Cuba Doble Cinco, if I'm pronouncing these words right. This is the second one I've had. I bought 5 of them to try them out. And I don't typically smoke Arturos.
Yeah.
Not that they're bad cigars or anything. I just don't typically go towards that line, I guess.
Yeah.
But these are pretty good. I do like them. But I don't know if they're new, and that's because they were just new to the site I order most of my cigars from. So thought I'd try them out, and it's pretty good.
Did you order any of those flamingos?
Okay, dude, you have got to stop texting me because I've gotten to the point where
every damn day
I've gotten to the point where I can like disregard the emails that they send me. Then I get you that like. God dang it, dude. You sent that text today, and I was like, wait, Blackbird has a new one? Because I love Blackbird cigars. And I was like, wait, how did that get, like, under the radar on me? Because
it's from my website.
And, yeah, and so you were like, you know, your little...
whatever dumbass
text that you sent me, and I go... Damn it, Tyler. So I go and looked it up. The minute you sent that text, that was the first thing I did. I dropped all the work I was doing and I went to the website and I pulled it up and I was like, I gotta have some of those. And so, but then I was like hesitant because they're, first off, the reason I hadn't heard about it, well, I would have if I'd read emails and stuff. It's their first brand, like from manufacturer to their site cigar.
Yeah.
Like, so it's primarily there. Like no one else carries it but their website.
Right.
And it's the Flamingo.
Flamingo
is what it is. Mm-hmm. But it's I was kind of hesitant to buy any because it was Lanceros.
They're little bitty
size, and I'm more of Robusto and Toro size.
Yeah.
And those typically, because they're 7-inch inches, but they're like 36 ring or something, like, so it's really thin. Like, but people love Lanceros. From what I understand, they're kind of hard to roll. Or something, and so that's why you don't see a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But people love them, and so I was kind of hesitant. But then I was like, "It's Blackbird.
Yep.
It's a new one.
Yep.
It has a Habana wrapper.
Yeah.
And I that's one of my favorite wrappers. Yeah. So I did buy some. Yeah, because I was like, I gotta try them.
Not enough to get a hat, probably, huh? Are you getting a hat? Oh.
So there's so I have a problem. And my good buddy Sweet Tea here thinks that he plays me like a fiddle. And he knows damn well when he sends me a text that says, "Hey, did you see this ad?" And then he knows I'm going to drop everything, go over there, throw my credit card at those people, and say, "Give me as many as I need to get a hat." Because I have to have the hat.
So, I know I told you about this a while ago, but who's the cigar that has the Sasquatch?
Oh, it's Dunbarton.
Dunbarton.
Yeah.
So, I mostly smoke a pipe, but Dunbarton was through this website we shop. They were giving away a Sasquatch figure, and it was like order just $75 worth of Dunbarton cigars. You get the Sasquatch figure, and I was like, I'll just give them to Dustin. It's fine. And then I thought, no, I need $75 for probably food. I probably need to eat this week or something. So yeah, but I'm kicking myself because I should have.
I'm kicking you as well, because the minute you told me that story, and I was like, that's a good deal to get one of those statues, because that's like everybody wants that statue. Yeah. Uh-huh. And now to get that statue, it's like you have to buy boxes of it to get it, and they're limited. And anyways, yeah, and people sell it, like people take them and sell them on eBay. Sure. And I've seen them sell for like $300 to $400. I'm like,
when they sold out, when the deal had ended, because I think I got paid, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. But they were sold out. Yeah. And so I just went on eBay. I was like, well, fine, maybe I'll spend $75 just on the figure. Yeah, $300.
Yeah,
no,
$300. Yeah,
not doing it.
Yep. So yeah, you got to put down money if you want the Squatch.
One of these days.
Great cigars, though. I haven't had all of them, but obviously, because he has some unicorns and stuff in there too. So
yeah.
But my favorite of the ones that I have had have been the Meat Lovers, hands down. Dunbarton also does the Stillwell Stars. That is the pipe tobacco in the cigar.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, and their holiday blends are really good. And it's, guess what?
It's that time.
Christmas is just around the corner.
I haven't smoked the ones from last Christmas.
I know. We're going to have to bust them out.
All right.
It's almost like we have a podcast that we could smoke those on.
Yeah, we should do that.
So, how was the holiday blend?
Holiday blend was okay. It was really moist, though. It was hard to keep lit, and it bubbled like crazy. But I got it smoked, and it was good. It smelled great. I've moved on now to a different pipe. I was
going to say, you look like you jumped to a different pipe, but did you keep the holiday blend, or did you go different?
I went with Founding Fathers. This is my second bowl of Founding Fathers now.
Sweet Founding Father.
Mm-hmm. This is, that's pretty much exclusively what I've been smoking in this new pipe. I don't know if you noticed.
Yes.
This Rattray.
It's beautiful.
It's a Rattray's. And I don't know if that's how you sell it. R-A-T-T-R-A-Y apostrophe S. Rat race. How else would you say that?
The last person to ask. So
anyway, this is Outlaw. It's a little pocket-sized 9mm. You can put a filter in here. So I've got a filter in here that's active charcoal.
Okay.
And it absorbs all that moisture, and it gets that harsh taste of the smoke. It takes it out of there.
Oh, really?
The active charcoal. And if you hold the filter next to your ear, you can hear it rattle in there. And after I used one, I took it apart just to see what was in it. It's just little charcoal pellets.
I know you showed me the filter and you were like jiggling it, and we were trying to figure out if it was charcoal.
It's totally
or
charcoal.
Or if it was those you said those silicone
just
things
something
maybe
to absorb
absorbing the moisture or whatever. Yeah.
No, it's charcoal. And it's got ceramic plugs on both ends. But it's pretty good at controlling the moisture. And I don't know. I'm just yammering about the harsh tastes. Not great at the moisture because it's leaking out of my stem right now.
Maybe you just slobber a lot.
I don't think it's my slobber. My mouth is so dry.
Yeah. When you smoke cigars, is the tip like soaked?
No. Because that's one of those things, like sometimes I'll even smoke when I'm mowing the yard.
Yeah.
And I only start slobbering all over the place when I go to dump the bag of clippings, you know.
Oh, so
when I bend over, I'm like,
yeah.
It's all running out of my mouth. Gotta hold it way out here.
You know what we forgot?
What?
We forgot to go through the smoke.
Oh, we did.
Well,
I think we went through the prairie smoke.
yeah. I think we did too.
We should do a follow-up to this episode where we
Yeah.
start with, we're going to go through the prairie smoke and
Yeah.
then just talk about the scientific studies that have been done on ghost lights.
You think so? You just want to focus on scientific?
No, I don't.
I don't either. That sounds boring.
Yeah, I
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, no,
it's
I
not
mean,
boring. It's just
it's a different aspect, and we're more interested in the human and the stories, I think, than...
Well, you know, in their defense, that is human story too. I mean,
Of course.
at the end of the day, it's all man.
Science is a belief system based on observation, so you want to
Yeah.
record as many of those things that you can to
Yeah.
tell your story.
I wonder if the Fox sisters ever saw ghost lights. There is a story from Leah's book that we didn't talk about in the Fox sisters series. There's an instant where at one of the sittings, she gets a glowing light in her hand. And she's talking about a light that had formed in her hand during a sitting. And then it ends up like burning her hand. And there's this long story about it.
Is this Leah?
This is Leah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. There's more to it. I just don't have it in front of me, and we may talk about it some other time or something, but I kind of dropped the ball when I didn't bring it up in our series. But now that we're talking about the light stuff, it like a little light bulb went off and was like, oh yeah.
Well, and I think that's why we wanted to start with the episodes about the Fox sister, because it is kind of the basis of, like, that system of thought and those experiences really shaped how Americans in particular began to view the supernatural.
Yeah.
You know, so that's
Very true.
Did we talk about lights as potentially a form of witchcraft as well?
No.
These stories that are older than the car headlights, you know, lights in the sky that weren't way up in the sky. They're not the spaceships. They're closer to the ground. That's witchcraft. That's a witch,
Yeah.
you know, something unknown. And that is one of those things, witches at night with the power of flight, the folklore, there would be lights that trail them as they're flying.
That's interesting, yeah. I know that in some of that folklore, the lights that you're speaking of would be like trickery.
Yes.
Basically, those lights would lure wanderers and travelers, with the traveler believing that that's like shelter.
Yeah.
So they would go towards these lights, but these lights would really just get them lost.
Yeah.
So it was just like trickery. There's many forms of ghost lights and spirit lights and fairy lights, spook lights.
Corpse candles. And that's something I want to look up right quick, because that sounds morbid and gross and right up my alley. Originating in Wales in the 18th and 19th century, corpse candles are an omen of death, a light that predicts the death of an individual. This article that I'm looking at here says they are variations on the traditions of spook lights and earth lights.
Also read another folklore, I guess is the word you would use, I guess, is that it's the spirits of babies that were either miscarried or died young.
And are they just stuck here then, or are they traveling over?
Just traveling. That's what we're finding out. Just tons of theories that I think it's just like we talk about personal experiences and personal description.
Yeah.
I mean,
the cultural lens that you're viewing it through as well.
I mean, if you think of it, if a person has never seen a firefly and they walk into an area where there's a bunch of fireflies.
Yeah.
That could be along spirit lights,
Sure.
spook lights, fairy lights.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yep. And in fact, there's a lot of things, especially in UFO lore and stuff like that. It's misidentification.
Yeah.
You know, and these things that people see, it's profoundly meaningful for them. And then you have some scientists show up and be like, you were just misidentified the moon, lady. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
It was like that hugely momentous experience that gave your life meaning. It was nothing. Give up on it.
Yeah.
You're still dumb. You know? And it's just such a lousy way to look at that stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Just because something isn't literal doesn't mean it can't affect your life in a positive way or negative way, but hopefully it's for the positive, you know.
I mean, what we're really trying to say is the government shutting us down.
Absolutely they are. We're being silenced. It's so easy to put this podcast up, guys. We're being silenced.
The birds aren't real.
Yeah. The moon was built by Soviet Russia as a spy satellite.
I thought it was the Italians that put the moon up there. It's a big piece of pie up in the sky.
That's amore.
That's amore. Well, you have anything else to contribute or shine your light on?
Shine a light, shine a light.
This little light of mine.
Sunday school, Elton John, it's similar.
Do you think the guy that, the pastor that pulled over and got that little light on his fingertip, you know that guy was rocking that song?
He probably was. Yeah, he totally did that. And then his kid was like, why didn't you say E.T. phone home?
Yeah, and he's all like, because I'm a pastor, and we're going to go with this song. And you can go home and do your Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Well, we'll cut all that. He just filmed some demon.
I've never in my life heard anybody reference E.T. to a demon.
Well,
it's just a demon running around. It's the demons.
so there is a book publisher that I'm not going to mention by name, but they do a lot of Christian end of the world type stuff and all these alien lights in the sky and stuff. That's just signs of the end times. Those are demons and fallen angels and all this other stuff. And somehow the Pope's involved and he's going to ride a UFO somewhere, and I don't know. But they're great stories. They are fabulous, exciting stories. But they've got a book called Exo Vaticanus or something like that, and it's about the last Pope, but it came out 20 years ago. So, you know, had a couple since then. It always sucks that your prophecies don't work out, man. Not yours.
Or do they?
Maybe they did. Like I said.
Like, I mean, you can read something, and when we look at it, we're probably looking at it in a more simplistic way.
Sure.
But in reality, what they meant has happened. but we're blinded by our simplicity. Like, we're straightforward. Like, hey, the moon's going to fall in 2025. The moon is going to fall. And we're never going to see it again. And then 25 comes around and the moon's still sitting there. But maybe there was a deeper meaning. And it really did. Something happened. And I'm not smart enough to come up with something to go along with what I'm trying to preach here.
Well, you talking about it being too simple. What if it's the other way? We're trying to make it too hard. And it's more of a...
More simplistic.
Personal.
Yeah, okay.
Simple and personal.
Okay, yeah.
The prophecy was never meant for general humanity. It was meant for specific humanity here in this moment. I mean, the reason why the military is so excited about UFOs right now is because there are a couple of former military fellows who are like, these things outmaneuver us. They're there. We get them on radar. We get visual confirmation. They behave in ways that we can't behave. We can't track them. And they are in our airspace.
Yep.
And so there are these dudes that are like, that is a threat. And these guys would probably hate me. But looking at mythology and folklore, it's like whatever they're seeing, those have been here as long as we have. It may be us.
Yep.
You know? And if they wanted to do something, I think they would have done it already. Or maybe they're doing it right now and have been the whole time, you know?
Yeah, I don't think we're at the point of time where we need to send Will Smith up, you know?
Right, yeah. Have you watched that movie recently?
Independence Day?
Yeah.
No.
I've been rewatching a lot of movies that I really liked. And there is so much needless death in that movie. And it's graphic.
Yeah.
Like, people are dying everywhere in that movie. And like that gives the weight. Like, that's the important part of it. You know, people are dying. This is the end of humanity. Unless we fight back.
Yeah.
You know. I can fly. I'm a pilot.
This has been an enlightening episode.
We were kind of all over the place in this episode.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, everyone. We're... it's been fun, though.
It has been fun. It's just been more of a casual conversation.
I think we covered a good portion of ghost lights. I think...
keep an open mind. Go look for them.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we want. Is just personal experiences and keeping open mind about things we talk about.
Yeah. It's okay not to know. And it's fun to imagine.
Yep. I want to believe.
Me too. Well, play us off.
It is. Play us off.
Rolling down a darkened road through the misty pine, they say there's magic in the air where the ghost lights shine. Out in Oklahoma, where the prairie hums a tune, dancing flames of mystery beneath the silver moon. They flicker and they wonder, they never stand still. Whispers on the night breeze, bending to their will. Spooky meadows tells us true, the tales the spirits keep. Corpse lights mark the end of days where shadows run so deep. From marshes deep to mountain tops, the fairy lights will glow. A world of wonder waiting wherever we may go. Next stop's Brown Mountain, where the ridges burn at night. Glowing balls of orange and gold, a mystic eerie sight. Through the swamps of Carolina, the will-o'-the-wisp take flight, leading lost souls deeper still into the heart of fright. Some say it's gas, some say it's a spell, but Spooky Meadows smirks, the truth I'll never tell. Spooky Meadows tells us true, the tales the spirits keep. Corpse lights mark the end of days where shadows run so deep. From marshes deep to mountain tops, the fairy lights will glow. A world of wonder waiting wherever we may go. Montana's ghostly lanterns, Nebraska's phantom flame. Each one whispers secrets, though no two are the same. Spooky's in the passenger seat and sounds a bit rehearsed. He says these lights are warnings of a world both blessed and cursed. Spooky Meadows tells us true the tales the spirits keep. Corpse lights mark the end of days where shadows run so deep. From marshes deep to mountain tops, the fairy lights will glow. A world of wonder waiting wherever we may go. So if you see a flicker where the dark meets the unknown, remember Spooky Meadows says you're never quite alone. The ghost lights guide, they mesmerize like whispers in a song. And on this road of mystery we'll keep on driving alone.